Holy buckets, guys, a lot's changed since we had the last video out, and we're gonna do an update today and tell you where we're at with Successful Contractor and the SWI Fence Florida startup. So stay tuned right here for all that information coming up. You probably noticed in the background that things look a little bit nicer than they did. Well, we finally had some time to organize, and just the other day it rained, and so we quick hurried and did an inventory, and while we were doing an inventory, we cleaned all the stuff up back here. We got a lot better organization now because of that, and that's a big plus. We'll have more room on these shelves so that I can actually organize those so the fittings actually make sense. And it makes me feel so much better having a clean house. Now, if you're one of those people that keeps a messy shop, I would encourage you to clean it up, because you know what? Time's money, and when you can find everything you need and you're not tripping over yourself, efficiency is key. So that's just a little tip. I'll show you some of the other stuff that's taken place since the last time we talked as well. So way down there, you'll see that we still have the wrapped Traverse. Well, we have that wrapped Traverse now sitting here because that's the shop vehicle. We got a new Hyundai Elantra. I don't know, it was some $24,000 semi-disposable car. I can't believe how cheap it was. But we got one of those for a sales vehicle because that thing's terrible on fuel. And the reason we picked up the second vehicle was because we got a second sales guy. Now, one of the things we can do now, because we have 2 salespeople and more time, is we can do active business development. One of our key strategies is to get into commercial fencing, but that takes time and effort. And one of the things we need to be able to do is go out there and visit all the different commercial contractors and let them know that we exist, because they're not always Googling and doing those things, because they're just going through their Rolodex and calling all the companies that they already know. So we need to be one of those companies that they now know. And that's already paying off huge. So we just took delivery on another load of vinyl fence, and that's because we're selling tons of vinyl fence. But not just that, we've got 2 more on order because of the work that we've done in our business development and the fact that we're selling to commercial contractors. Just in the last 2 weeks, we've sold 2 projects totaling $300,000 almost. Now that's huge for us, because until then, our largest job had been about $40,000. And that's how we're gonna actually get to that $3 million goal that we set for this year. So one of the other things we did is we brought in some temp fence, and that was because we did a job for a company called J.E. Dunn, where we installed about 1,000 feet of wood fence that is temporary, and this will go with that project. And that was a commercial project where we had to get in with that contractor, and that was all because of the business development we're doing, reaching out to those people, letting them know who we are, and they're like, hey, we'd love a bid, and what do you know, we end up with jobs. It's strange how that works. And that was a pretty good job, went very, very well, and they'll be getting some of this temp fence here in a couple weeks. One of the projects that we got was a perimeter project on a subdivision. And let me tell you, the reason we got that was because we differentiated ourselves from everybody else. He loved the fact that we did NoDig vinyl fence and that we could prove to him that it was stronger than traditional vinyl. And he said, 100%, I'm all in. Not only did we get the vinyl, but we got our NoDig aluminum system, which you'll see right here. And we got some chain link to go on that project. The total sum of that project was about $200,000. And as mentioned, now you'll see that we have the NoDig aluminum post here in St. Augustine's. So as you'll notice, I did mention that we do have the I-post here. Now this is part of our proprietary system, which you can find out more information on if you visit swifence.com and click on the category for ornamental aluminum and then the NoDig system. This is a system that we own the patent on, and we have found it to be extremely efficient in helping us install our aluminum fence without all the mess and fuss of concrete. Just one of the many ways that we're separating ourselves from all the other competition here in our market, so that our customers see the value that we offer. One of the things we talked about was making some modification to the truck. So the Super Fencer truck that Sean King designed, I mean, we could fit a little beaver in here, but unfortunately I've sold both those, so we won't need to be fitting that in here anymore. We've made this a tailgate so that we can pop this down, and now it's just an even bigger catch-all for all the other stuff that we need to haul to the jobs, giving us even more room. So we're making some modifications like that. And you can see up here on the end, we stole that idea from Sean King, just in a little different fashion, but made a stake holder so that we can keep track of all our stakes. Because for some reason or another, those get left on jobs once in a while. One of the other big things that we had happen is we finally got somebody that can weld. Like, he can really weld and fabricate. Not only can he put 2 pieces of metal together and have them stay together, but he can put them together well so that like they're square and they fit good It's kind of an amazing thing to watch. So this is Jason. Let's go meet Jason. Jason is actually a very talented fabricator. It's one thing to weld, but it's another thing to be able to fabricate. And Jason can both weld and fabricate. So that's like reading tape measures, getting things square, making sure holes are in the right spot. What he's working on right now is some additions to our table over here, which we'll show you in just a second, but this will allow us to cut off our pipe, and these are rollers so that it can roll. So it's gonna be pretty handy. So basically the way this thing works is this is what's called a Rothenberger easy cutter, or some people call it a Collins cutter, but it'll have rollers out this way and rollers out this way so we can lay chunks of pipe on here. And it's basically a big pipe cutter. We'll have a handle in here, and as you pull down on the handle, it just basically puts pressure on this cutting wheel and cuts off our pipe. So he's fabricating all the rollers to go in this and making sure that down there we still have a cutoff saw. So everything kind of works very neatly. This is pretty cool, pretty excited about this. It's been sitting on the floor for a very long time, but now that we have somebody that can weld and fabricate, we're gonna put it into use. So Jason fabricated this portable welder cage. We noticed that if we don't put cages on these, they get all dinged up, but this allows us to put all of our hoods and stuff in a box so that whenever we grab this, we have all the tools that we need to weld. Got cord reels and they're all plumbed in, so just really nice setup and should make welding on site much, much better for us. You might be wondering what the heck this pallet of things is. This is stainless steel removable post sleeves. So if you need to install a section or a double drive gate and you don't want to have the latch be the only thing that holds it up, this is for the double drive removable post system. And you can also set removable posts up in your fence line. Say somebody says, well, I'm going over an easement and eventually I may need to pull that post out, so you can do that. And that's what these are for. These are stainless steel because we live in Florida. And if you want more information about these, check out the link below. But that's what this pallet is. So the only thing left to talk about now is the numbers. So you're probably curious, well, how are your numbers looking compared to last year? And are we gonna make it to our $3 million goal, and are we gonna do so profitably? Well, all that kind of remains to be seen, but I can tell you where we're at so far this year. So total so far from January and February, total was $345,422 in revenue. And as far as profits concerned, net income's $141,000. One of the things we still struggle with here is the fact that deposits are being taken, but they're not being recorded as deposits. So please bear in mind that this is not accurate 100%. We are profitable so far this year, but it is not to the degree that it will say on our profit and loss, because we actually need to back out those deposits. And the way Job Nimbus is bringing those invoices over, it's making it look like income when technically we haven't earned that money just yet. Most of those jobs have been staged and have all the material, so it's about half right. I'm gonna say you could probably cut that number roughly in half and say that we're profitable $70,000 so far this year. With that said, one of the biggest things we're running into now is that we need to get our productivity up. We're running 3 crews, and each crew needs to generate $20,000 worth of income every week for us to hit our goals. If each crew does 20,000 on installs every week, that'll bring us 60,000 in every week for a total of $240,000 a month. That should lead us to just over $3 million for annual revenue. On the same hand, we need all of the salespeople to also generate $20,000 in sales each week. The first couple months were very rough. January and February were rough, but March is off the charts. As long as we can get our production up as far as our crew installs, then we'll be just fine this year and things should be looking up. So let's hope it all works out to our benefit, and that's where we're at on Successful Contractor Startup with SWI Fence Florida. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, you have a good dang day.